We're live. What's up, historians? Welcome back to season 4. Can you believe it? I haven't been canceled yet. Season 4, Historically Haunted Vodcast. We're here tonight with episode 8 with a good friend of mine. But before we get into that, I always fumble this up. We are sponsored for the second year in a row by actor, trucker Donnie Green of Bauer Green Logistics. Him and his wife run it. If that sounds familiar, it's because he drove the red truck, the Arinco truck in Pet Cemetery that killed Gage. Get the baby! He's the one singing the fucking Sheena was a punk rocker. That's Donnie Green. He's also my client, Historically Haunted Booking. If you want to get him for a show, we get him booked in Bangor. Also, John Green Logistics Company. Look at him. He mailed me a hat. Can you believe it? These people don't even know who I am. I love it. So I appreciate you guys very much. And sponsor of the week is Dustin Grammer, director of Steed's Ridge. It's a Bigfoot type movie. It's like a spoof documentary thing, but it's great. It's on Tubi for free. I've watched it. He actually signed a copy of the DVD. I got that. Of Moonlit Monster Media. Director, actor, because he's in the movie, Dustin Grammer. And he brings to you my next guest, who I've had on my show a couple times before in the past, fellow Mainer, Nomar Slevik. Nomar is this dude's a paranormal investigator. He's an historian. He's a cryptozoologist. He's a UFOologist. He's an author. Want to know how I know that? Because I published his book, which he personally signed for me. Still got the bookmarker. Still got the marker, brother. I know you see that. I can see you in the green room. Look at that. It's available for purchase along with his newest book, UFOs Over Maine. So without further ado, real quick, here's the introduction Donnie sent me. Let's just watch this real quick. One thing. Let me add it to stage. Let me get out of here. 1 second, guys. Let me go.
Hey everybody, Donnie Green here with the Arinco truck that I drove in the Pet Cemetery movie. I'm here with Adam checking the truck out. Please tune in on Thursday nights for Adam's podcast. By the way, nice hat, Adam.
He has a nice hat because I usually wear his Bauer Green Logistics hat, and I switched hats today, but that's cool. So we drove all the way to, where is it? Not Jefferson, Maine, but way up in Maine. It's almost in like Prescott, almost in Camden, almost. We took the airline down there, went to go see the truck, so that was cool. But without further ado, my homie, my brother from Maine, Nomar. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up, man? Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for accepting. Hello, Betsy. Thanks for tuning in. We got 5-6 people tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Dude, Nomar, what's going on? We were talking earlier. Last time I seen you was either at your book signing with Lauren Coleman from the International Cryptozoology Museum in Bangor, or when you caught me stalking Stephen King when you and your old lady were out there.
Yeah, we were driving around, and lo and behold, we see Adam in front of Stephen King's house. I always got to drive by when I'm in town because I'm a dork like that too.
Oh, we never know, right? I remember I was taking pictures. I look, and all of a sudden someone goes, Adam. I go, who the fuck? And it's Nomar and Christina. Christine, so I'm like, oh my God, busted. But you never know, that one chance. Danny Perez of the Radicals, real quick, he actually wrote a book too, and he threw it over the fence. I was with him. I gave him one of my tours about 4 months ago. Me and Heather gave him a whole tour, Pet Cemetery, all that shit, Al Brady, all that stuff. You know, all that stuff in Bangor.
Of course.
And we went to the Stephen King house. He's never been, and he took his book and he threw it over the fence. So who knows? Maybe Stephen King is it as a doorstopper now. So
that's awesome.
So Nomar, for those that aren't familiar with you, George, what's up? Checking in. Hello, there she is right there. There's your missus.
Hey, there she is.
We're gonna get her on one day and talk about her creepy collection podcast that Facebook stuff she does. She's gonna come on sometime.
Yeah,
what's up, George? Checking in.
George, what's up, man?
So Nomar, for those that don't know you, brother, how did you get started in this wacky shit, this UFO, crypto, paranormal stuff?
Sure. It started a long time ago. I'm 46 now, and it was a little over 40 years ago. Hey, Ashley's here. Awesome.
Me, none of the man, yes.
So it happened a little over 40 years ago. I had what I feel was a UFO encounter when I was like 4 years old. I had gone to sleep. I was living in Fort Kent at the time, which is right at the tip of Maine. And I used to get my haircuts in Canada. Like, that's how close we were. I lived right on the St. John River. And I'd fallen asleep one night, and something woke me up in the middle of the night. And, I'm 4 years old, so I don't know if that's like 9 o'clock or like 3 a.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no concept of time at that age.
Yeah. But so something woke me up, and I'm kind of like looking around for some sort of explanation, and I start hearing like taps at my window. And then the sky lights up, and I was like, oh, it's a thunder and lightning storm. Thunder must have woken me up,
Right.
And living, right next to the St. John River, I kind of like leaned up in bed to like look out the window and watch the lightning, and the river was raging. It was crazy. And while I'm doing all of that, there's this lightning bolt. Like if I were to ask you to draw one, you would draw this jagged yellow line, and it was stuck in a cloud in the sky. That's how my young mind perceived it, and that's how my adult mind remembers it. But there was like this lightning bolt stuck in a cloud, and there's electricity coming off of it, and there were booms associated with it. And I'm not really sure what happened after that other than just going back to sleep. And I woke up in the morning, went to the bathroom, and leaving the bathroom and walking back to my bedroom, I can see out my bedroom windows, and the lightning bolt was still there. So I thought that was crazy. So I ran downstairs to get my dad. I brought him all the way upstairs to check it out, and it was gone. And I tried explaining to him what had transpired, and the storm and the lightning bolt and the cloud and all that stuff. And he was like, yeah, patting my head.
You're
But
a
I must have
kid.
been,
That could,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm a 4-year-old
Nightmare or something.
idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I must have been pretty insistent, because he like got down on my level and like put his hands on my shoulders and was like, buddy, it didn't even like rain last night. I'm not sure what you're talking about. And so that was confusing, but being 4 years old, the next thing caught my attention, and I forgot all about it. A couple weeks later, I'm woken up again in the middle of the night, this time by my father. And he's taking me downstairs, and I see that my mother is shoving my sister into like her snow clothes, snow jacket and ski pants and stuff, and putting a hat on her. And then she does the same thing to me. And then my dad scoops me up, and we walk outside, and I bury my head in his chest. And he keeps saying, look up, buddy, you got to look up. And it's freezing, it's in Fort Kent, it's in the winter. And he's like, you got to look up. And so finally I take my head out and I look up, and I see these crazy colors of like, greens and blues and stuff. And it was the Northern Lights. And it's the only time I saw them. I didn't get to see them a week or so ago. We were cloudy over here in the Bar Harbor area. So I feel like those two incidents happening so close to each other in such a young age, it created like a core memory that weird shit happens in the sky, and I should probably pay attention,
Wow.
and that kind of stuck with me. And once I got to be like 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, I was, such a huge horror movie fan. And I was a really big fan of like ghost stories and UFO and Bigfoot and Nessie and Bermuda Triangle and all that shit.
Yes.
So I was collecting a ton of stories, and I was asking family members and friends if they had ever seen anything. And that just kind of kept snowballing into my 20s, when eventually I wrote my first book, which was UFOs Over Maine, came out in 2014. And 10 years later, which is this year, I got the dumb idea that, hey, I should probably like re-release that as like a 10-year anniversary. I actually had this idea a couple years ago, and I reread the book. And I don't know if you look at any of your early work, but it's a little cringy. I feel like my stuff is cringy. And so I read it, and I was like, okay, I can't re-release this as is. I have to rewrite this thing. So I completely rewrote the entire book, and I added like 150 new stories, some never before published. And it was a whole ton of work. And, the first book in 2014 was like 130 pages, and this one is over 400. And it's just jam packed with incredible stories from Mainers, written by Mainer. There's Men in Black, there's creatures, there's UFO landings, there's USOs, there's, it runs the gamut, military police encounters,
Well, hold on. I love that. Unidentified submerging objects, USOs. Yeah, they're right up the USO highway in New Brunswick, where you're talking about.
Yeah.
No shit. You know what's funny? I brought that up to the other UFO people, and they go, "What's that?" I go, "You phony fucker. You're the real deal, Nomar." Sorry to cut you off, but that's cool to hear USO. I'm like, oh, finally. Because that's a real thing, awesome. Right? I didn't dream that.
No,
USO
highway. That's definitely a real thing. So yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of, to encapsulate, a little over 40 years in like 3 minutes. That's basically the gist of how it all got started.
Wow. That's all I could see, like the lightning storm thing. I can just see some sort of electrical current because these UFO things, from what they've said, are fucking hundreds of years ahead of us as far as technology. They can go
Yeah,
0 to
yeah.
300 in like a second, you know?
Yeah, and when I saw that lightning bolt stuck in a cloud, like
Wow.
that's still how I see it. So I'm wondering if, I didn't have anything else to compare it to, like in my 4-year-old brain, so that's what I saw it as. Or if it was some sort of screen memory, like I have no idea, but I just know it was friggin' weird and it created a core memory that's, it still strikes my fancy to this day. So,
Have you that's a great story, and I gotta ask, have you ever talked to someone or witnessed that has described that same thing? Like a cloud with like a lightning?
no, not a lightning bolt stuck in a cloud, but I have talked to people that have seen like electrical sparks or electricity, if you will, but not an actual like lightning bolt stuck in a cloud. It's weird. And it was, like when the sun has that halo around it sometimes.
Yeah.
It like that was something that was happening too. There was like this halo around it. It was weird. Oh,
Look at
John
this, another
Giles
main
in
boy
the chat.
jumping in. What's up, John? Skowhegan, baby. And a shout out to Alexis Aaron, George Acosta, Alexis Aaron from Candles by Alexis checking in from Derry. Brandon Golding checking in. Everybody's
Oh,
checking in.
she's
Brian
down in
Sinclair.
Derry.
Yep, Derry. Yep.
Oh, cool. And Brian Sinclair, where's he from?
Dude, he did the work on my car. Shout out to him. He hooked me up.
Oh, yeah.
Dexter, Maine, home of Creep Show
Nice,
2.
nice.
Which is a filming site beginning with a hot dog festival. And I love Northern Maine, dude. I'm fucking hooked living up there where I live by Adams, by Brownville and shit.
Yeah. I
It's
did
amazing.
a ghost investigation at Brownville Junction a couple of times,
The
and that
old
was
railroad.
interesting. Yeah. And and my girl and I, we drive through Dexter like almost once a month. We love going to Dover Foxcroft, and there's a thrift store over there called Win Win, and we
Win-win,
like,
yes.
yeah, so we like to check that out, and we try to go when it's like dollar close sale.
Yes. It's not cheap, it's smart. I don't care. And Dexter's a beautiful little town. I love the clock tower and
For
the
sure.
Rennies. And all I can picture is the creep coming out of his truck and shit.
Yeah.
And if you know, you know. Bangor's good for that too. Like,
Yeah.
I know all the sites in like the bridge, the Chamberlain Bridge that she goes over and shit.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Everybody's checking in. So I got to ask you something since I'm new to the area and I saw something recently. What do you know about the Werewolf of Palmyra, Maine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've heard about
That's a thing. That's a thing that supposedly happened. I forget the time frame or the year. I can't remember if it was late 90s or like 04, 05 ish. But
recently.
anyway,
Oh.
yeah. It's like within the last like 20 years or so, 25 years, something like that. But there was this family, and they had relocated to this farm in Palmyra, and they relocated because the husband apparently got like injured at work, and there was like he couldn't work anymore, so they wanted to, I guess, have a place that was kind of to live in a place that was like easier for him to like maneuver around and have their own land that he could hunt on and but walk easily, navigate easily, and all that good stuff. And this one particular night, actually, this actually started when they first moved in. They were like still unpacking, and the husband, his name is Eric, and he walked by the windows, and he saw these balls of light down in the woods, and he's like, "What the hell is that?"
Like orbs? Like
Yeah. And they
figures?
weren't high in the sky; they were like in the woods, kind of like searching around, if you will. And
Wow.
he didn't think it was like paranormal. He actually thought it might be poachers or something, and he didn't like that. So he had his daughter and his daughter's boyfriend and maybe his son come over the next day or within the next few days to like go down to that area and check it out and see if it looked like people had been down there. And they went down there, and everything looked cool and fine, and it didn't look like anybody had been there. So they kind of settled into their routines, which is good. And they loved to sit on their porch because there was a man-made pond in front of their porch, and then beyond their porch was a field, and then beyond the field is the tree line. And they would often sit on the porch in the evening and drink coffee. They would do this after dinner. And the wife had this really powerful flashlight, kind of like a big spotlight thing that she would turn on, and she would like to look at the animals in the fields, in the field and in the pond, and just to check
Yeah.
out the critters that are around. And one night, her flashlight like caught the eye shine of something that was by a fence by the pond, and so they're looking at it, and as they're looking at it, this thing stands up, and it's bipedal and appears to be like 7 or 8 feet tall. And they're like, what the hell is this? And then next thing you know, two other creatures, they catch the eye shine, and then they stand up and they're like, just about the same height.
Oh,
And
is more than
so
one?
yeah, so there were 3 of them, and she's shining the flashlight on them. So they're seeing the fur, and they're seeing the ears, and they're seeing the snout, and it looks like, a Bigfoot with like a dog face or a wolf face. And so as they're watching this, the creatures took off and ran away from the pond and kind of like around the back of the house. Well, this freaked them out, so they ran back inside the house,
Oh, I bet.
obviously. And so they called the cops. They didn't know what the hell else to do. And the cops were like, this is more of a matter for the game wardens. Why don't you call them? And completely dismissed them. So they got off the phone with the cops, and they're like,
Like it was a coyote or something, or like a wolf. Just
yeah, like it wasn't a big deal. And so
deer.
they call the game wardens, and the game wardens weren't as dismissive, but they didn't refuse to come out to the property. They said it's best to stay inside, lock the doors, and all that stuff. Almost like maybe they've gotten calls like this before. That's only speculation. Anyway, so the night continues on, and the husband is like, I want to go out to the shed and get the guns. The wife didn't like having guns in the house, so he kept them in the shed, and the shed was near the porch, so it's not too far, for him to go, but he has mobility issues. So she runs upstairs, and she's begging him like not to go outside, but he's like, no, we gotta go do it. So he goes outside, and he's like back against the front door, on the front porch, and he's looking around and making sure there's no freaking werewolves around. And he starts making his way down the stairs of the porch, and he can hear noises, and he's like, oh boy, they might be nearby. And as he reaches the bottom step, he is completely caught off guard when a motion light that is on the shed or on the porch goes off because it caught his movement. And he was like, like the bright light kind of scared him.
Yeah.
But just off the border of the light over by the pond, he could see the creatures were there, like looking at him and like kind of waiting to pounce almost. But he kind of got it in his head that they didn't like the light. So he's like, as long as I can keep this light on, it's going to be gravy, And as soon as he has this thought, boom, the light goes out, and he's like, oh shit. So he's like going crazy, waving his
motion.
Yeah. So the light comes back on, but he could see that they had changed positions,
Wow. Smart.
So he's like, oh my God. So he's like, yeah. So he's like, all right, forget the guns. So he starts backing up the stairs again, and he gets, to the front door, and he lets himself in, and he closes, locks the door. And he goes to the bottom of the stairs. She's like, did you get the guns? And he's like, no, the freaking things are out there, blah, blah, blah. So she comes down to help him up the stairs, and they go into the daughter's room, and the daughter's sleeping, but they wake her up to be like, yo, there's like monsters outside,
Oh, no.
and she was like half asleep, and she was like, what? I didn't really get it, and fell back asleep. And they were like, you know what? That's probably for the better. Just let her sleep. So they eventually look out one of the windows on the second floor, and they're looking outside, and it's, like on the side of the house, and they see 5 creatures now. So there's not 3, there's 5.
Wow.
And then they see like a smaller creature on the back of one of the bigger creatures. So they think there's a 6th creature, but it's like a juvenile version. Maybe it's a baby hanging on to mama on the
They
back.
reproduced or something. Yeah.
So they see that, and they kind of like crouch down, and as time goes by, the daughter wakes up and gets kind of more informed about what's going on, and she sees them looking out the window as well, and she's like, oh my God. So they're all super scared, and they just hunker down upstairs. And for the rest of the night, dude, they're hearing these bangings and scrapes and things walking on the roof.
Oh,
but like to them, they look like really behemoth creatures. So like, why wouldn't they just bust in a window or bust in through the door? So they were kind of wondering, are they just like fucking with us, or like trying to terrorize us, or did they just not understand how like windows and doors work or whatever,
Right.
and couldn't figure out how to get in. So they weren't sure what, either one of those things. They weren't sure which one. So it was a long night. They finally fall asleep, but they wake up at like the crack of dawn. It's like 5 a.m. The sun's just rising, and they don't hear anything. So they look out the window. They don't see anything. And since it's daylight, they feel safer to go downstairs and look outside. And they said that there were scratch marks all over the house. There were footprints all over the place. So it took them a few months, but they decided to leave that area. They didn't want to be there anymore because of that incident. And I talked to the wife very briefly. I tried to do like a long form interview, but she really wasn't interested.
No
She had
kidding.
talked about it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Linda Godfrey was an investigator of dogmen, and she wrote a bunch of books about it. And she interviewed them extensively and wrote about it in one of her books. And they also were part of the Paranormal Witness TV show on Sci-Fi, and they aired a retelling of their experience. And I think after that, she was just kind of done with it all. But she did tell me though, like a whole lot more happened in a paranormal sense, in her opinion, maybe a sort of devilish type of sense. More happened at the farm that she will never tell anybody. She told me. I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. So I don't know what the scoop is there, but that's basically the story in a very, very quick nutshell. But I do write about it in my new book, and it's a fascinating story. And I wanted to know if there were more stories about Palmyra and werewolves. You would think other people came across them.
Yeah.
So I did find another story from 2018.
No way.
Where these kids went down to do a camping trip in the woods somewhere down there. I name it in the book, but I don't remember it now. But they went down to the woods and they'd set up their tent and they did all this stuff and they were having a good time. But they started hearing these god awful noises in the middle of the night, and it eventually, whatever it was, scared the crap out of them. To the point where I think it like messed up their tent and all that stuff, but they ended up leaving that night and didn't go back till the next day to grab their stuff because it scared them so much. Brian Sinclair, it says, what farm in Palmyra? I do have that information, but I don't feel super comfortable just giving out, like an address.
Residential.
Yeah. It's actually, I think it's a business now. Like, I think it's a functioning farm. My girlfriend and I went there last winter, and we didn't like go onto the property again because people live there and it seemed to be like operational. But there was a business name like on the mailbox, and we took pictures of the property from like the road and from there's like a little church that's next door, which is kind of interesting. And so we were like in that parking lot and taking like telephoto pictures.
That's weird. What are the odds? You know what's funny? I when I go home, I get off the Newport exit, and the Palmyra exit's right before it. It's actually below Newport.
Yeah.
So the next time I go home, I think I'm going to have to do some scouting and try to look for a business next to a church. Take a picture, a selfie there, and tag you. Say, Nomar, is this it? That's fucking. I gotta say real quick, like you are a phenomenal storyteller. You know what I mean? But people are just listening. I think that's Nick's camping trip investigation says Ashley. Heather and I met Ashley in Bedford. Heather lives in the Saco area, so Ashley's down here. We met her and her old man couple.
That's awesome. Yeah, Ashley's awesome.
You gotta admit, not to change the subject, but the Maine group is pretty good. We're pretty good people. There's a lot of good people here in Maine. I don't want to spread it, but I see you work with a lot of people. Missy Lothrop, Paranormal 5, you do Fort Knox stuff because you're paranormal, you're UFO, you're crypto, and you're just kind of involved. What's up, Samai, Enchantress, and nice. All knower and all seer. She's been all the Warren Cons doing stuff. You plan on doing anything like that? You must do conventions and stuff. You do locally, right? You were saying
locally
in New England.
Yeah. I typically stick to Maine. I'm not doing 14 Fest this year, but I've done it in the past. And Parafest I try to do every year, which is down in Vassalboro, and
great little city.
And library speaking engagements are always fun, and I do those. And if I can, I'll do a book signing here or there. I have one coming up this weekend actually in Searsport, Maine.
We're gonna bring that right up now. But real quick, while we're still on it, real quick, we're going to bring up your book. But John says he had about a dogman sighting in Oxford, Maine, which I suppose Maine must have tons of them, right? I mean,
Yeah, and I don't know if it's the same one that I know about. So, John, we should connect about that because I do know of a secondary dogman sighting, and it was like the early 2000s. So maybe it's the same, maybe not, but we should connect on that.
Maine is the birthplace of Cujo, after all. So fucking hey, there's Dustin. What's up, for? Thank you so much for you love cryptozoology, Dustin. Thank you so much for sponsoring the episode. By the way, of author Nomar Slevik, Otherworldly Encounters, UFO, Bigfoot. I've read some paranormal shit you did in what town was it? Was it Belfast where they shot Thinner? I think you did some stuff there, if I remember right. John says anytime, brother.
Awesome.
The farm.
Yeah, I go all over and do things. So.
We're gonna get you if you'd like to. One of my clients who runs a Parafest down in Salem in October is looking for vendors. I can get you a good deal if you want to do Salem in October 26th. But it's at Salem State University. We'd love to get you there. He's actually shooting tonight in Upper New York. They're recording some stuff. But if you'd like to, we can talk later. I'd love to get you. Even Salem would be great. Where was there? Oh, Alexis too. You're right. She's from originally Poland, Maine. Poland's got some crazy shit.
Yeah.
The Hitchhiking Bride, Route 26, the Poland Spring Inn, where Sunny
there was a crazy UFO encounter that occurred because two brothers were checking out like this Lady in White story in that Poland area, they went out driving at night to go like find this Lady in White thing, and while they're doing it, they see they're coming around to like the like this apple orchard area that's down there, and they see this crazy light in
Shaker
the sky.
Village. The Shaker.
Yeah, Shaker Village. And they see this crazy light in the sky, and then like sound becomes really weird. It was almost like they were in a vacuum of sound, and they're like, what the hell? And then the light kind of disappeared, and they're like, oh, good, okay. So they keep driving, and like a second later, the light appears again, and they're like, oh no. And then the next thing they know, they're driving, but it's 12 hours later. It's like 5 a.m, and they're like, what? Like it was nighttime, and then it was morning in an instant to them. So this scared the crap out of them, and they drove to, I think it was the Lewiston, Auburn police station, one of them. And they reported what happened. We saw this light, and now we have like 10-12 hours of missing time, and they were having difficulty breathing, like it kind of burned when they inhaled, and their eyes were kind of yellowed, and they didn't look right. They looked strange, like they had been through something, and the police could see how upset they were being genuine, and they were having some health concerns, so they actually sent them to the hospital. And at the hospital, they like kind of did the whole gamut of tests, and even like jaundice, because their eyes were yellow and they were concerned that there could be a
like
case
radiation
of
or
something crazy. So they even got weighed and measured, and when one of the guys got measured, he like was measured at like 5'10" or something, but he was just measured at school like the week before, and he was like 6 foot even, and he's like, how could I have shrunk like 2 inches? Like, what? This makes no sense. Yeah. So they finally get done at the hospital. They get basically a clean bill of health, like they can be released. So now they've been gone quite a while. It was way overnight, and then like into the, like mid-afternoon. They finally get home, and they know their mom is going to be super pissed because, this was a time before cell phones and all this stuff, and they had never called. And so sure enough, when they pull into the driveway, mom comes out. They're adult children, but, mom comes out, and she's screaming at them, but then sees that they look weird and they sound kind of weird. And she's like, what the hell happened to you guys? And why are you shorter? Wait, what's going on? And so they explained to mom what happened, and she believed them. But, that's basically their story in a nutshell. And it all happened because they went out to go look for the woman in white in Poland.
Wow, it's crazy how things are connected. I brought that up. Well, Alexis brought that up, and then that, and then like I said, guys, Nomar he's an author. He's all this stuff. He's historian, and he still finds time to be a man for his lady and do his own life, obviously. But you like me, you kind of live with me, like with Heather knows. I do the booking thing, I do the podcast. You kind of live it, but I think it keeps us going, and it's who you are, and you're fantastic, dude. You gotta Oh man, I mean, no, Mark, it's such a treat to have you on. When I lived in the Maine woods, some scary stuff happened so bad late at night, banging on the house, weird things. I used to joke about it. Skinwalkers in the wood. Is dude, Maine's, you know
You
that
never know.
what's that, Pomola, the king of Katahdin, right? Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
You got Wendigos. You got the Allagash UFO incident.
Yeah.
Are you still doing your port? Oh, no more. Are you still doing yours?
Oh hell yeah. I'm on season 7, and episode 5 of season 7 just came out, and we covered the Loveland Frogman, which is an amazing story. So yeah, you should definitely check that out.
Oh, it's true, John. I already got a man crush on Nomar. You can't have one. Nomar's the man.
I love John.
So check this out. You guys want to meet Nomar in real life? I have. Check this out. Nomar, what's going on with this?
Yeah, so I'm going to be at H&H Mercantile in Searsport, Maine on Sunday, and I'm going to be selling and signing books and probably exchanging stories with people. But it's basically a meet and greet, and I'll be outside their awesome little store. The gentleman's name who owns the store is Patrick Hutchins, and he's a super nice guy, is real supportive of Maine authors, but also he's got a keen interest in the paranormal, which is really cool. And he's got a cute little store, and they sell lots of like Maine goodies, foods, and a lot of other artists wares, which is really cool. So my girlfriend and I will be set up at a table outside selling books. He's got copies inside as well. And from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., Searsport, Maine, H&H Mercantile. They're at 383 East Main Street, I think. So if you're in the area, come by and say hi.
I'm going to share it on the podcast page. I'm going to share it on my personal page. Nomar may not be a client of mine, but he's a friend, and I'll promote the hell out of him because he's been nothing but good to me. Sign my copy of his book, UFO Encounters. You guys can get yours. Where can you get them? Amazon? For you personally, obviously, if you see you in person. But look at Heather. Love you, girl. Nomar, Heather loves you. She's like, Nomar's so awesome. That time we met you at the book thing sorry to cut you off, but when we met you with Lauren Coleman and them and Gene and you get the perfect voice for storytelling, Nomar. Look at that. I'm jealous. I got to work on my vocals, but go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's all good. I don't even remember what I was saying. Oh, where to get the books. Yeah. My name is so unique. So if you just Google Nomar Slevik books or whatever in Google, it'll come right up. But I also have my own online store. It's slevikstore.company.site. And all my books are available there. Also, you can just go to Amazon and my books are available there. They're also ebook versions, and they're on Kindle and Apple Books, which is cool. So anywhere basically books are available, you can probably find one of my books. But Adam, I got a little surprise for you.
Well, you told me that before the show. I didn't want to bring it up, but I got excited. I still got to dive into this. I haven't started yet. I'm sorry. I'm behind on books. I'm getting there. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
You get 1,000 of them from all your clients, so it's all good. Oh, yeah. There we go. All my links.
Appreciate you, girl. Thank you, Witch and Life Guide.
So this book here, UFOs Over Maine, this is my latest book. And Adam, in the story, it's called An Infestation in Winterport. It's a really interesting story of this woman and her children in Winterport, where they have like an alien creature encounter. However, I met this woman at the Bangor Writers Fair, and I write about meeting a lot of people there, and so I mention you and Heather in the book.
Shut the front door.
No, yeah, for real. So I wrote,
Heather, you hear that? Shoot. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm literally honored, dude. I'm going to give you the biggest fucking hug, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Dude, no one's ever done that. That's dope.
So I wrote, Adam Began, a historical savant, visited the fair and my table, and it was lovely to meet him and his partner, Heather Caminiti. Being around so many like-minded people was wonderful, and Christina and I felt welcomed and appreciated. But that's the you're mentioned in the new book. And
look, everybody's congratulating me and shit. Oh, dope! I want to sign copy. I'm at Heather's right now, which is Southern Maine by Old Orchard Beach. I plan on heading back up to Adams, Maine, where I live. I don't want to give away where I really live. I tell you, obviously, but where I live, there's like population 800. So, but when I go up, I want to try to hit Searsport. That's a little off the beaten path. Is that by Thomaston?
No, it's like on the way to Belfast.
Look at Heather. Oh, Belfast is dope. That's where they at that little Raleigh's Diners where they shot scenes of Thinner and shit. When the girl, the gypsy chick curses them and shit like that. That's outside the dock. But anyway, oh, dude, Nomar, brother. Oh man, shit. You know what, motherfucker? For that, you're free. You're my client. I'm booking you at no cost. I don't care for who's. Seriously, I would be honored to. Is that cool? We'll talk later, but I would love to represent
Sure.
you. All right.
Okay, man.
We got Donnie Green, dude. We're getting places. You know, he's my goat, and then I just work from there until people I got other people. It's working out. Shit,
Yeah.
I'm honored, dude. Yeah, you're in. Fuck that, you're in. Looks like Adam's name is a book. I know. I got to finish mine. I'm halfway through it. I said that like 8 months ago. Writing the book is not as easy as you think. I thought no big deal, and then I got halfway through, and I started the booking agency, and I haven't found time, and you know.
Yeah. It's hard, man. You know, it's like what I do, and it's still, you know, it's a process, you know, and every author I would assume has their own process, and I have mine. And you know, some days are very conducive to lots of writing. Then there's other days where you're just like, I can't do this at all, and then you feel, you know, kind of like shit and a failure. But you get over it and get back to it, you know. So.
Oh, dude, I'm still on cloud nine that you actually mentioned in your book. You didn't have to do that no more. You're a very humble man, and I appreciate that. And
for sure.
Shit, dude, I'm literally glowing right now. I've had a rough week. It's been we put our dog down last week, Athena. You know, my car was a lot of money, just different shit. Not everybody's got problems. I'm not comparing, but to hear that, dude. And John wants to know too. Kiwi, is she bringing her stuff with you? Any creatures to sell? Kiwi's creations.
I don't think at Searsport, but we have a couple events in October. We're doing. I think we'll be at Parafest in October, and we'll also hopefully be at the Brewer Witch Walk. You know, right next to Bangor there. Actually, I think it's in Bangor now because it's such a big event, but at the waterfront. So she should be having some of her sculptures there.
I definitely want one. Maybe she can make me some sort of historian one, like historian. I don't know, something. She's good. I follow her, man. You guys are a good pair, man. I tell you. The Brewer, for those of you who don't know, is right by Bangor, and the mascots are the witches, which is neat. Yeah, and that's where Josh Chamberlain is from.
Yeah.
Inside of the Chamberlain Bridge, they get that little part, like the slave house or whatever. Yeah.
Interesting stuff, man. That's a really interesting area. I wish it wasn't so built up and like busy in that area, because it's tough to kind of like pull over and go look at stuff, but it's all good.
Christina D, that's No More's better half. That's the one that keeps him out of jail. she's the
actual
she's amazing
talented
with
one.
Her page. Heather, try to share Kiwi's cryptids if you can. I'm not humble. I'm just happy to be alive after dying in that car accident for half a minute. Once you die, then you start living. That's what I always said, man. I tell you, I found a new lease on life, and I get to meet people like Nomar and all these people like Toby. Who's the one that? Yeah, it's Toby, right? Toby and his brother that do Parafest
Toby and Travis. Yeah, Hartford. Hartford.
Yeah.
They're not doing it anymore. This is the first year they're stepping away from it. And they're doing kind of like their own thing now. But yeah, still love them right to death though.
All right, we got about a half hour left. Let's look at some questions. So I'm trying to think. I had so many. Obviously, a bucket list of mine, and I think of everybody, is Betty and Barney Hill site in Franconia Notch, New Hampshire. You've obviously been, I would think, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah,
I went to the sign and stuff, and
yeah,
pretty deep shit. Barney died 8 years later, and then Betty died like 93, and she could do the whole galaxy, right? She could pinpoint the whole fucking.
Yeah, it was
Milky
really
Way
interesting.
and everything.
There's a main story that like mentions Barney in a really weird way. So in Old Orchard Beach, this was, I think, 76 September. Christ, it might have been September 11 of 76. But anyways, it was September of 76. And there was this hypnotist, and he's also a doctor, like a general practitioner doctor, and he was practicing in Old Orchard Beach at the time. And he had been working with some Southern Maine UFO investigators, helping to do hypnosis sessions with some people who claim to have been abducted. So one night, this doctor gets a phone call. His family has gone off to go see a movie in Scarborough. And he gets a phone call, and it's from a gentleman, and he says he's from like the New Jersey UFO Center or whatever the hell. And he's like, okay. And they're like, oh, we want to discuss this case that you're working on. And the doctor's like, yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about it. Like, no, I'd like to like talk about it in person. And he's like, okay, well, when's a good time to come over? He's like, now. The doctor's like, oh, okay. So they get off the phone, And before the doctor could even like go turn on the porch light, there's somebody walking up his steps. And this is 1976. No cell phones. And the doctor said that there were no payphones close enough for this guy to like make a phone call and then like be walking up his steps a second later. So he thought that was really strange. Knocks on the door. He answers it, and the guy looks really strange to him. But the doctor is almost like in this weird state of mind, and he just lets the guy come in. And they go into the living room and they start having a conversation. And it seems fairly innocuous at first. You know, nothing too bad is being discussed, but the person is mentioning things about the case that he's working on. And the doctor describes this gentleman as being dressed in all black, like even wearing a top hat. And he was very, very pale. And it looked like this guy was devoid of all hair, like not even eyebrows or eyelashes. And it looked really weird. And he kept speaking in a really strange, like dialect or tone that sounded robotic. And at one point, it looked like the guy was wearing white gloves and he wiped his mouth. And when he wiped his mouth, his lips smeared. And the doctor noticed that there was a red substance on the guy's glove, almost like he was wearing lipstick or something. You know what I mean? Like to pretend that he had lips, if you will. So it's almost sensing, like this man in black, almost sensing that the doctor was suspicious of him. He stood up and said, "You have 2 coins in your pocket." And the doctor's like, "What?" And so he reaches his hand into his pocket. Sure enough, there's 2 coins. And he says, "Pull one of them out." So he pulls it out, and there was a dime and a penny, and he pulled out the penny. And he's holding it in his hand, and the man in black says, "Watch that penny." So he starts watching the penny. And the penny starts to get like fuzzy and blurry. And then it like turns into like this weird blue ball, like this fuzzy blue ball. And then it disappears. Yeah. And the guy's like, the doctor was like, "That's a really neat trick. How did you do that?" And he's like, "If you keep talking about this case and working on this case, what happened to that ball is going to happen to your heart." And he's like, "Do you know who Barney Hill is? That's what happened to Barney's heart. That's why he died, you know." And the guy at the time, I can't remember if the doctor at the time knew who Barney Hill was. I mean, he must have if he was into UFOs in New England at that time, so he must have. But anyway,
well, a lot of that was nationally known, a black and white couple, and that was rare back then. Yeah, so and New Hampshire's right there, but holy I'm sorry, I'm fucking my jaws on the ground because it's just 5 minutes down the road from us. I could go find.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a wild story.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's all good. It's a wild story. So. After he was threatened like that, the man in black was like, again, speaking robotically. And he's like, "I'm feeling run down. Like, I must go." And the doctor's like, "Okay." And so, he lets the guy out and he watches him walk down the steps and he's going down like one step at a time. He puts a foot down the step and then the foot next to it. And then, so it took him forever to like get down the stairs and then to start walking down the driveway. So the doctor closed the door and he ran to like the living room or kitchen window so he could see the driveway to like see how the hell this guy got here. And so by the time he got to the window, which didn't take a lot of time, the guy was already gone, but he saw a flash of light. And he was like, "What the hell? What the hell was that?" So that's kind of gone down in infamy as like this crazy Men in Black story that happened in Old Orchard Beach. But there's another side to it.
What?
I spoke to the widow of this guy's nephew. And this guy's nephew lived with the doctor during this time frame. And this nephew talked to his wife about it. So he's since died, this nephew. But I talked to his widow. And the nephew said that his uncle, who's the doctor, was a drunk and was really into sci-fi pulp magazines, and he loved to write. And he feels he made up this whole Men in Black story. But his own widow, the nephew's wife, believes the doctor and not her husband. It's interesting. It's such a strange such a strange
Well,
story.
maybe he thinks that paints his family member as a nut. So he wants
Yeah,
to kind of say, well, I'd rather have him be a drunk than a nut, which there really is no better. Not that it's worse, but at the same time,
I know.
to
And there was
describe it like that, I must recharge. Or what did he say? I must
feeling run down.
feeling run down. So
So
when
weird.
you said he talked robotically, all I could think of was the black-eyed kids because they say that like, is it time? Is
Oh
it
yeah,
eating
yeah,
time yet? Instead of dinner time, they go, is it eating time? Or weird shit. I watch a lot of that shit. Funny
yeah.
part is I feel like I've read that story or seen that.
Yeah, you might have. You
Maybe,
might have in one of my books.
but yeah, maybe that's what. But you're fucking man. You have a great brain because you retain this shit like it's a script. I know you're not reading a monitor, so it's spectacular.
Thanks, man.
The factual shit. See, you like me. Some people just like oh, it's haunted, 1985. Oh, but I like the details, like you. I like every little detail of each character. It
Yeah.
really paints the picture,
Yeah.
dude. You ever thought of making a movie or anything? Have you made a movie? You do YouTube videos and shit, but
Yeah, I've made a couple of documentaries, and I've told my girlfriend a million times I'd love to make a horror movie, but all that shit costs money, and it's
I'll gladly
making
die for you.
documentaries. And,
I'll gladly die for you. Put me in a thing. I'll gladly take a toaster to the face.
yeah.
No
But
shit.
like, it's fun, but it's just very expensive, and so it's tough to get funded to do stuff like that. So
people are all loving it. Deep dives. You need to know it
yeah,
all. Hey, hello,
get the. I'm telling you, get the book. It's over 400 pages, and they're all main encounters. And I talk about the Hopkins case, and the Hopkins case is this case I just told about this doctor in Old Orchard Beach, and it's a lot bigger story than what I could fit in here. There's stuff that happened to his kids. There's more stuff that happened to the nephew. Really interesting stuff, and how it kind of goes back and forth. And basically, I feel like I've disproven the story by doing the research and talking to the widow, and which is too bad because it's an amazing story. I've loved it for quite a long time, and it's been covered all over the place. And even those
you got two victims,
those,
Nomar. Two people will die for you. It's like a satanic leader cult or something, brother. Anyway, shit.
That's good stuff,
dude. So I've been to a place I went last year because I'm into all this shit. Obviously, I'm not as good as you, goddamn. But I've been to a little place called Exeter, New Hampshire.
Oh yeah.
And right underneath it, and I believe it's Kingston or
Kensington, maybe
Kensington. I've been to the field.
Yeah.
I got a picture of the field where the kids claimed it. The cop showed up. I've been to Betty and Barney's grave in Kingston, New Hampshire,
cool.
where it says. Been to their house in Portsmouth where they both died in. Me and Heather went there. Man, I saw that on the documentary on Shock Docs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said they showed their house in Portsmouth yellow. It showed the street sign, everything. I fucking GPS it, found it. Well, they're taking selfies. The guy's walking around. I'm like, Betty and Barney Hill. He goes, what? I just left. Medium Irene, what's up? But that's cool. And then there's that one in Massachusetts where they came out from underneath a wooden bridge or something, or like a little walking bridge. You ever heard about that UFO thing? That's kind of big. Massachusetts.
Yeah, boy.
Sorry, in fucking Alice Obscura. I can't think of the town now. Shit.
That's not. Boy, I'm not sure. There's so many stories, man.
Heather, do some research on that. I think it's on Alice Obscura, Massachusetts. There's a bridge, and they have a little festival, and it's supposed to be a UFO came out from underneath the bridge with this wood, almost like a troll would do. So let's change gears for a little bit. I want to talk about other shit because you've also done. You've done a little bit of it all. You've done paranormal investigating too. What tickles your fancy with that shit? I mean, like Ed and Lorraine Warren, obviously, but do you like, as far as Maine goes, you're into Fort Knox and all that stuff, obviously.
Yeah. I just love strange stories. That's me. So I don't care if it's ghosts or a haunted lighthouse or some sort of creature or something extraterrestrial or black-eyed kids, dogmen. Like all this stuff. I love it all. So, but yeah. We I had a team for boy, I'm not even sure how many years, 5 years maybe, and this was like back in 2004 or so, something like that, 05, 06, something like that. And so we had a team for a while and we did a bunch of investigations, locally. I think the farthest we ever drove was to Lubeck. And and we investigated the lighthouse, the lighthouse keeper's house. So not the lighthouse, because we weren't allowed in there, but we investigated the lighthouse keeper's house. And the person who runs that like contacted us and was like, yo, there's some crazy shit happening. And so we went there, and we were there, obviously all night and all that good stuff. And we actually didn't catch a whole lot, which sucks. You know how it is, paranormal investigation. Sometimes you just don't catch anything. We
It's a
might have gotten a
crapshoot,
couple. Yeah, we might have gotten a couple of EVPs, but I recall like the actual investigation was kind of boring, but going on site was amazing. We made a whole 16 hours of it, the drive up and stopping at a bunch of places. And then we were there during the day and took a ton of video and pictures of, the lighthouse.
You soaked it up. Well, I see your picture of you and your girl. You guys go out, you're like random pictures. You guys go by like an old barn.
Yeah.
Go by the ocean side. Real quick, I want to share that. Well, real quick before I share that, open invitation. In September or so, I get permission to go check out in Lincoln, Maine. This person I know owns 3 funeral homes, and they said there's one where some people died, and they want me to check it out. And I don't want to go alone. So if you're up for it in Lincoln, maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe I'll screen something at some point in September. I'd love for you and Christine to come up and me and Heather and whatever. But real quick, I know this is her page, but this is right here. Is it on? Did I add it? I'm pretty stoned now. Here we go. Let me add it. There we go. That's better. Let's go to this real quick. Check this out. Oh. Coming right up. Searsport, right. Beautiful area, beautiful beaches. It's up there. It's gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. And Nomar's better half. She's Kiwi's creation. She does all her little goody stuff. Look at the little animals and shit. Oh, a beautiful puppy. She's really cool with that stuff. You'll help too. Oh, let's kill her, Ashley. You're good people. Maine people stick together.
Yeah, Ashley's good shit. She does good work.
So I'm going to do some fun questions. We got a little bit of time. You mind if I go over like 5-10 minutes? Is it cool?
Yeah, of course, man. This is what I'm doing tonight.
Dude, I got like 10, 15 people watching standardly, so that's pretty good. I know another guy that could drive to Lincoln for that. Oh, come on, John. John donated some money to my book. His name's going to be in the credits. I appreciate you. I went to Skowhegan. There's a lot of native lore. Oh, shit. Dude, see, my brain's thinking now. I'm fucking ADHD and weed. Bad combo. What's up with the triangle in Maine? It's
it's actually something. That's a part of it, and it's like Skowhegan, and it's basically like kind of. It's almost like 800 square miles. It's crazy.
What?
But I came upon it by accident, and I coined the term the Somerset Triangle. Not that it's being used by anybody, but I did coin the term.
That's what it was. Triangle. Somerset. Thank you. Yes. That's what
yeah.
Good man.
But but the Somerset Triangle contains Somerset and Franklin counties, and there's a bunch of towns in there. But just in that area alone, within that triangle, there was like almost 3,000 reports of, at the very least, a light in the sky. And if a triangle, if that doesn't make a triangle, I don't know what does. You know what I mean? And that was just the least of the reports, but it goes all the way to like UFO landings and creatures and all this crazy stuff. So there's a whole chapter in the new book dedicated to the Somerset Triangle and all of the craziest stories from that area. There's, like I said, there's like 3,000 stories from that area, but I cover what I feel are the most incredible ones,
That can compete with Bridgewater and Mass all fucking day.
Oh,
man.
Hell yeah. Yeah. And I just, it's just honestly a matter of, I was just doing tons and tons of research. And when you're looking at everything, and I'm very organized when I'm putting my stuff together. So when I'm going town by town by town, when you're going town by town by town, you're like, wait, these are all in the same county. And then this is the next county over. This is crazy. How can there be this many, anomalous things happening?
Dude, and I tell people, and Heather goes, don't tell people they're going to move to Maine. I go, I know, but honestly, I love traveling. I've been to Gettysburg. I've been to Iowa. I've been to fucking Virginia. All that great stuff's great. I've been the lead singer of Gore. Odoris Urungus' grave, Richmond, Virginia.
Nice.
There's also the Richmond Vampire, W.W. Poole. I've been his grave site. He came out of a tunnel. Cool. Yeah. But Maine, you got to admit, Nomar, huh? We got enough stories to last a lifetime, right? Between ghosts, Bigfoots, aliens, pirates. I got to ask you something, and I told Heather, I got to ask Nomar, see where he stands on this. Yes, no. Sirens, mermaids, yeah.
I don't know.
Maine's got some. Oh, come on, York Beach. You get floored. Sorry, I love The Lighthouse. The movie The Lighthouse is great, but
yeah. But that's a tough one for me because I can really, for me, I try to be as rational and unbiased as possible when I'm doing my research. And I love talking to experiencers, but I don't believe everything I hear. I believe a lot of it, but not everything. And
no, that's fair.
I've heard some really compelling skepticism about manatees and manatees being confused for mermaids, way back in the day. And there might be something to that.
Even
I don't know.
seals are kind of human-like. Their eyes and their face, you could almost
Oh
see
my
them
God,
at
yeah.
night. A drunk
Yeah,
sailor
yeah.
could go, "Oh, look at that! I'd bang her." You know what I mean? It's a fucking seal or something.
But
So,
am I open to the possibility? Like 100%.
yeah,
I never say no 100% to something. So is it possible?
uh,
Absolutely.
I don't see you. I don't see you dissing things. It's one of those things where, well, if I haven't seen it, then how do I know it doesn't exist? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to.
Yeah, and honestly,
Yeah.
I can't even say I'm like that with everything, but for some reason in particular, mermaids, it's kind of my thought. I also have some thoughts on psychics and what Loch Ness is and all that stuff, but they're just personal opinions. And the more I learn, my opinion changes, which is natural and normal.
I like that, because when you say no to things, people challenge you, then they start telling you info, and then it makes you think. It's like, oh, okay, as long as
Yeah,
it's respectful, I'm willing to fucking listen.
yeah, yeah, for
Let's do
sure.
some fun ones. Nomar, fucking, what do you jam out to, brother? I can see you. Let me see.
Oh
Pantera, maybe
man,
White Zombie, or
nah,
am I off?
yeah, way off. I'm into
Okay,
hip hop.
no shit.
Yeah, hip hop's
Let's
been my
hear it. What do you
thing
got?
since I was a kid. Hip hop's been my thing, and I actually released like 24 albums in my lifetime. I
What?
don't do music as much anymore. Yeah, I don't do music as much anymore. But like for my podcast, there is some music in the background that I do make. But yeah, so hip hop has been my thing forever. I kind of get caught
You've
up.
got a
Like if
record
I'm,
though? You actually sing? You rap?
yeah.
Shut the
It's
fuck
it's
up.
not a thing I do anymore. But you can check it
Oh,
out
I
on
gotta get
Spotify or
one. You gotta
whatever.
get one for me. I used to sing in a metal band, Calling the Herd. We opened up from Mushroom
Yeah,
Head.
yeah.
And I love
That's
art.
awesome.
I love
But
Yellow Wolf. Yeah, I mean, wow, no
okay.
shit, Nomar, shit. Oh, I want one.
Yeah, I got a couple
Go
of vinyls, so I'll try to get you a vinyl sometime.
get the front
But
door out of here. What the hell?
but music wise, like if I'm on a bike ride, I love riding my bike. I ride my bike as much as I can because I freaking love it, and I'm a huge dork for it. And so when I ride my bike, if I'm not listening to like a scary podcast, I'm listening to old school gangster hip hop. So I'm listening to Ice-T, I'm listening to NWA or
Easy
something
E.
like that. Easy E, yeah. It's all
Cruising down the
nostalgic
street
for
in
me.
my 64. Oh,
Yeah.
talking to
But
bitches.
some of the lyrics, like just so you know, some of the lyrics are just god awful. And so
It's
I'm not a supporter of that, but I still listen and
dude.
it's the beats and oh my god. It's
Today's culture, a
nostalgic
lot
for
of
me.
things don't fit. Fuck them. I mean,
Yeah,
old
yeah.
school dude, wrestling wouldn't fit. In the 90s, wrestling people would be appalled, but Sable coming out with the hands on her tits, painted on. Oh, they'd be it. They'd be canceled in a week. Yes, NWA. Oh, I love the good shit. I watched the movie, by the way. Great movie.
Mm.
Nomar, what do you dig for
Sure.
sports? Do you like wrestling? Do you watch football, hockey,
I
baseball?
am not a sports guy, and my manhood has been questioned before because I'm not a sports guy.
Fuck that. Fuck that.
I
Who
know.
cares?
They're like, what? I was someone, another man literally said to me, like, what kind of man are you? I'm like, one that doesn't like sports. But
You know what?
I don't get mad at people who like sports. You can like sports. Good night, John.
It's just, John, thanks for tuning in. I'll have to get you on one of these nights. I keep on telling him to. He's like, I don't want to talk. I go, well, whatever. Come on, fucking shoot the shit for a half hour.
Yeah,
Actually, I was a Bears fan. I love Chicago Bears. I love Peyton.
Nice. Yeah.
But I've kind of just gone out now, and I'm getting older, dude. I'm like, why am I fucking paying money for millionaires? I watch wrestling still. That's my guilty thing. I love wrestling. The Undertaker.
My dad, I think to this day, although he doesn't keep up with the new stuff, but he was a huge wrestling fan for years.
Oh.
And so I used to watch it with him when I was young. Shut up, John. You're very interesting.
Look, Nomar.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's the old school right there.
WWF. Oh, man. My friend's grandfather used to watch it with me. He goes, hit him. He'll turn around, referee. Hit him. Oh, no. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. Fucking
friend. My dad would see something happen. He's like, oh, top on that,
Fast you ugly face. Yeah. Oh, man. He fucking got that. Fucking Frenchies.
I know.
Shit, man. But, so give me a couple. I got 2 questions for you. You can answer them however you want. Favorite place to go as far as like anything, and bucket list place to go for America and for the whole world. So 3 questions.
Sure. So I think bucket list I'll do first. Bucket list for America. I think it's got to be Point Pleasant, West Virginia. I'm such a Mothman freak, and I want to go and I want to take a picture of the Mothman butt and near the statue.
You haven't
And
gone yet? I'm surprised. You've gone
no,
to TNT. No shit.
no, I know it's awful, but I'd love to go there, and I'd love to go to Flatwoods and Hopkinsville, where the goblins and all that stuff happened, and
The Barons look for the Jersey Devil. Oh man, there's so
yeah,
much out
yeah,
there.
yeah. So that's for the United States. I think bucket list for like overseas or something. Like I would love to go to a haunted castle, wherever there is one. That's where I will go.
Scotland,
uh,
Ireland, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for
England
sure.
even.
Yeah, I did a podcast episode once on something called the Ghost Ape, and there's a ghost
What?
ape story that takes place in a castle. And I can't remember if it's Ireland or Scotland or wherever it happens, but
Never heard of that.
the rich, when they were way back in the day, and this rich family who lived in this castle, they had a monkey for a pet, and the monkey was accused of doing something bad to like one of the children, like hurt one of the children or something, but it
Wow.
didn't. But it was accused of it and was killed, which is awful. It's an awful story. I love animals.
Yeah. Better
And
than people most times.
yeah, absolutely. So the gist of the story is that this monkey now like kind of roams the halls, or this ape roams the halls of this castle, and you can hear it, doing its screams, and they can. I don't know if pictures have been taken of it, but there's a woman or a caretaker had lived there for years, and they would see the ghost of the bride, and they would see the ghost of the monkey once in a while, which is really strange. But
That's your horror movie intake. That's the part where well, seriously, that's where real life meets horror, because it's almost a
sure.
ghost story. I just found out the other day, the Wedding Cake House, right? Kenny Bunk.
Oh yeah.
Right next to it is a 1785 B&B. Dude, there was 8 priests there that did an exorcism, and you can rent a room there, and they say the ghost took your fucking feet. Shh, I want to go there. I
Really?
shouldn't have said anything, but I want to go there. We're gonna do it. Yeah, you learn shit
That's
new every
wild.
day, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's your favorite place to go? It's got to be someplace in Maine, I'd
Oh
imagine.
boy, yeah. There's I really love being near water. I actually, so I'm from Fort Kent originally, but we moved away from there when I was pretty young. I was like in
Oh
third
no
grade.
shit, I didn't
I
know
forget
that.
what yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
forget what
way
age that was, but so I'm from there. But it feels like I grew up in the Bar Harbor area, because I started like elementary school like in this area. And so I love being near water. So that's Bar Harbor, that's Belfast, Camden, Rockland, even down like
Oh
by
man,
Bath and all that
Casper
good
the
stuff.
Ghost was there. Thinner was filmed there. So many movies. Storm of the
Yeah,
Century was Southwest Harbor. I've been there. The
yeah,
hotel.
yeah.
On and Sin. Come on. Oh, I love that
You
shit.
know what?
But,
My
yeah.
mother used to be a florist. She's retired now, but she was a florist in Southwest Harbor at Westside Florist. It's no longer in business. There's a different flower shop in business there, but Westside Florist did flower arrangements for the movie, and some of their arrangements were in the Storm of the Century movie. So
Oh,
my mother and the whole shop was invited to the movie premiere, and they actually did it at the Mount Desert Island High School, which is where I went to high school. And they were invited, and Tim Daly and all the stars of the show were at the high school to
shut up.
watch the movie. And they wrote on the side of the high school. I wish I could have seen this, but on the side of the high school, they wrote in red paint, "Give me what I want, and I'll go away." And there
Oh my
was
fucking God.
a
Tim Daly from Show Wings and shit. Yeah, he was in
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. And there was a walker, like strewn about, like on the grass in front of the high school and stuff. So they watched the movie, and then there's like a reception afterwards. And Tim Daly talked to my mother and was like, "Oh, the flowers are really nice, in the movie." And she was like, "Oh, thanks." But
Oh.
how cool, you know what I mean?
Oh, your mother's gonna be my guest now. God damn, that's killer. Wow. That's some cool. Well, okay, that brings me to a personal question of mine. As you know, I'm a
Mm,
Stephen King nut. I'm a stalker.
mm.
What's your favorite book / movie adaptation or whatever? Like, what's your go-to?
Sure. I think my favorite Stephen King movie, anyway, as of like, I guess like right at this moment, is Silver Bullet. It's my go-to. It was like
Wow,
the
the
first one I
werewolf
fell in love
classic.
with. Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it Corey
It was
Haim
the
in
first
that,
one.
right? Or Corey?
Yep.
Yeah.
Corey Haim and Gary Busey, and I fell right in love with it. It was like one of the first horror movies I ever saw. The first one I ever saw was Phantasm, but the one I fell in love with was Silver Bullet. But I think my favorite book by Stephen King might be Pet Cemetery.
I love that book. Yeah, yes, Silver Bullet. Dustin
Yeah.
says big monster fan.
Yeah.
Moonlight Monster Media. You guys can hook up with if No More shoots a movie, Dustin. You got to help him do that. You guys can direct it together. That'd be great.
And
But as far as that book goes, isn't it weird that it's the neighbor Judd's wife that dies, not the maid.
Yeah, they definitely took some liberties, but I think the heart of the book is contained in that movie. I think Mary Lambert did an amazing job with it, you know.
Yeah.
And part two, I even like part two. I'm not a part two hater. You know what I mean? I think
I like the dirt bike scene with there.
yeah. And I
yeah.
love the sheriff, you know, and
Where do you stand on the remake when the spoiler alert, guys? If you haven't watched it, it's your fucking fault. But Ellie dies, not the father. Not what do you say on that one?
I loved it. I loved the Pet
like
Cemetery
the
remake. Yeah. The twist is definitely cool. I thought it was really annoying that they gave it away in the trailer, but regardless of that, it's I thought it was a great movie. I think the remake of it was better than the remake of Pet Cemetery. But if there's a Stephen King movie, whether it's brand new or a remake, I'm there and I'm gonna watch it. Like I thought Boogeyman was amazing. It's on Hulu right now.
You.
Yeah, Boogeyman I thought was great. I don't know why it got bad reviews. I thought it was scary as shit. I thought it was really
suck.
well
You gotta have, you don't really know a good horror movie anymore. It's gotta have gore and tits in it, and it's just otherwise it sucks. Well, no, that's bullshit. It needs a good story.
Yeah.
But so man, I agree. No more. I'm gonna soak 5 more minutes out of you. Before I do, before I end the show, I'm gonna ask you to plug your shit. But before that, I always ask my guests to ask me a question. You got a question for me, brother?
I want to know if you've ever seen a UFO.
You know what's funny? Real quick, I've seen it a couple times. Last year when I was leaving, I was in Corinna. Corinna is got that big town hall, Corinna, Maine. They used to have a mill there. That mill was part of graveyard shift scenes were filmed there, mostly in Harmony at Bartlett Yarns. But there are some scenes filmed there. I was going to Corinna, and I'll never forget this silver light up top of me, and it was right next to the sun. So I thought, well, maybe it's my windshield. But then it darted down to the left. I go, what the fuck? And I got a video of it somewhere. I pulled over.
Wow.
And then in Camp Ellis, you know where Camp Ellis is in Saco, by the Saco River, which is supposedly, Native Americans claim one white person a year will die in it or whatever, just like the Androscoggin, so who knows. But Heather and I have been there, even my mom, rest in peace, Mom, and we have a video of it, dude. USO, I fucking believe. Little lights under there. This is a scuba diver at midnight. This yellow lights like underneath the water, and then it just zoomed off towards Wood Island Light. There's a murder-suicide.
Yeah, Wood Island Light. I did an episode on Wood Island Light. That's a great story.
God, I've heard you get there. Yes,
but I've heard you talk about that USO story before. I can't remember where I heard that. It was probably just another episode I was checking out.
Dude, I went to Anderson Cemetery with Heather. You know what that is not Anderson Cemetery. I'm sorry, Gambo Powder Mills. It was the second biggest powder mill in American history in like 1850. It's in Windham, Maine.
Oh, cool.
Or a main line. You go out there on the road, dude, and we went out this bridge. It was over a waterfall, and Heather and me were in her van when I first met her, and these two dudes were just wearing shorts with no shirts on, and they both stood up. They didn't have nipples on or anything, and they both walked towards us at 11 o'clock at night with their high beams on them. And I backed out of there, motherfucker. That van did a burnout. You've never seen a van do a burnout before.
Yo, that's wild.
I'll never forget it. Heather goes, what? She goes, look. She goes, no nipple. I go, oh, my God. And one guy stood up. And he just looked at me and just walked towards me on the bridge, and my high beams were on. I go, what the fuck? It was like 10:30 at night. I was going to take a piss. It was dead end road. I want to go ghost hunting. I like walking around graveyards at midnight.
Yeah.
Until I get spooked out. Then I'm like, okay, what is going on? This dude's got nothing. Not to be weird, but you see a dude's chest, and it's just flat like a shield. And I don't know if it's a skinwalker or a demon. I just fucking bolted out of that road, brother.
Wow.
So I've had some stories, man. As a kid in Lisbon, Maine, same high school as Stephen King, Lisbon High School.
Yeah.
In the dump, I've seen stuff. I saw a big deer one time the size of a moose. So I don't know if that was a minotaur, whatever the fuck, but
dang.
Dude, and of course, my dead grandfather at 1988, I was 9 years old. He died and walked me to the fridge to get some milk the night he died. You know what I mean? Lisbon, Maine in my trailer, and I didn't talk about it for years. So I've seen some shit, man. My mom got me out of my car accident, helped me. I was only remember I woke up in the ambulance because my mom got me out. She's been dead for years, but I had her ashes on my necklace. So I'm a believer, dude. If you tell me your shit turns purple, I'll probably believe you. You know, I don't even need a picture. So I'm open to it, but I'm a skeptic to an extent. But at the same time, man, I've seen some shit where, there's some, but it draws me to it either makes you away from it or brings you towards it, I think,
Yeah. But I think it's good to be open-minded to stuff. And then I think it's also like, it's a lesson that can be learned for like the other parts of our life. If you're open-minded with all this strangeness, I think that can help us be open-minded with each other, and maybe not be so much hate and all of this, political bullshit that's going on and people hating.
Oliver Anthony said it best. Oliver, I love Oliver. And I don't know if you've heard of the musician Oliver Anthony, but
No.
he talks about that. He's like, politicians just, they don't get it. Like, it's just the left and right we're wasting. And then Dax, the black dude from Canada, did like a redo, and he's like, we waste our times these political views that just push their shit. And it's just, dude, I'd rather focus on aliens and ghosts, my podcast and shit. I'm booking Donnie Green, the truck from Pet Cemetery is going to be in Bangor. You come down, you get free autographs because you're my boy, and fucking we're going to push you. Put your book on our table. Bring your book down. Put it on Donnie's table. Donnie already told me we can push my people. Bring this book. I want to buy your copy of the book that I'm in, by the way, me and Heather.
Yeah.
So where can people find your stuff? We got a couple of minutes to go. Where can people find your stuff, brother?
Yeah, sure. You can find all of my books on Amazon, of course. Just type in my name, Nomar Slevik, and they'll come right up. Or Nomar Slevik UFOs over me, and it'll come right up. Also, I have my own online store. It's slevikstore.company.site. And you can, like that gets shipped from me and sent from me. So I'll sign everything and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's basically it. But if you also just do a Google search for Nomar Slevik, because my name's so unique, like all my stuff will come up. And
Shit. I love it. And like I said, man, you're welcome in my umbrella. I mean, I'm no pressure, but I'd love to at least promote your shit for at no cost and try to get you into things. So historically haunted booking, if you want Nomar on your podcast, you want to get a hold of him, you don't want to message him, message me, and I'll hook you up, and I'll reach out for Nomar for you. He's lives right down the road from me when I'm up there in the fucking Katahdin Basin of Maine, which is great. Let me see. A couple more questions real quick. Food. What's your go-to for a meal? What's your splurge meal? What's your big, like, I've had a big book sale meal or something.
Yeah. If I'm going to splurge and have a big ass meal, I'm doing spaghetti and meatballs.
Oh, fuck. You just won Heather's heart. Italian, baby. Yes. Caminiti. I'm just telling you, man. That's very classic, very cheap, but also it's I love spaghetti and meatballs with garlic bread and shit.
Yeah. It's good
nice
stuff.
salad on the side. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm a cheap date, man. I'm a cheap date. My girl can tell you.
Sexy beast with that goatee. Okay, last one. Horror movies, man. Give me. I know you love movies.
Shit.
What's it like? I mean, Night of the Living Dead. Like what? What do you got for me? I mean, you must love it all, right?
I do. I just I keep track of all the movies I watch. But of course, I'm put on the spot, so I'm trying to. Oh, okay. So I just went and saw the new Strangers movie, the Chapter 1. And so Rennie Harlin directed the new Strangers movie. And Rennie Harlin, he is famous for directing Nightmare on Elm Street 4. And he's done a slew of other really cool horror movies. But Nightmare on Elm Street 4 is a fantastic movie. And it actually garnered the interest of like Steven Spielberg. And they were going to work together at one point. But anyways, Rennie is.
Which one's that? 5's the Dream Child, right?
Yeah, 4. I forget what 4 is. 5.
I forget the name of the fucking thing. They all got little names to them, but that's a good.
Yeah, I know.
I got them all the Freddy's for Christ's
sake. Yeah,
anyway,
Nightmare on Elm Street's great.
Yeah.
But anyways, Rennie Harlin, he's a horror icon, and he was tapped to see if he wanted to not reboot and not redo the Strangers, but like to add to the universe of the Strangers. And
it's based on a true story, by the way.
Yeah, and
slightly.
So I listened to this wonderful interview. I listened to this podcast called the King Cast, and it's all about Stephen King stuff. And they had Rennie Harlin on, and he talked about the process. And so they shot 3 movies at once. It's Strangers Chapter 1, Chapter 2, and Chapter 3. And he shot them all at once. And he was given a certain amount of money to basically shoot a 4.5 hour movie, and they're going to split it into 3 parts. And I was so intrigued, and I enjoyed the interview so much that I had to go see the Strangers Chapter 1. And I thought it was fantastic. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Basically, like if you've seen the first Strangers, think the first Strangers, but if Liv Tyler survived. And what's going to happen after that. So I thought it was really, really well done, and it had great scares. And
so you like the real life shit that could really happen. I love Freddy and Jason and Hellraiser and all that shit.
No, I love it all. Like I also was deeply and emotionally scarred by the first Omen. It's a prequel. Like, who knows how good a prequel is going to be? This movie was friggin' fantastic.
With the chick hung herself at the beginning. It's for you, Damien.
Right. So but this was amazing, and some of the imagery was so disturbing, and it had great scares, and it went in a place that I had no idea that it was going to go, and it's friggin' badass, and it's getting rave reviews, and it deserves every one of them. So the first Omen is is badass as well.
Oh, you're a
So,
sick fuck. I love it. It's just like Exorcist. It competes with The Exorcist all day. Another classic
yeah,
movie too.
yeah, absolutely.
Shit. So all right. So Nomar Slevik, dude, it's been a pleasure. I gotta get you back on. Maybe have you as a co-host and I get Dustin on or something. Would you ever co-host with me? Would you ever think
Yeah,
about doing
for sure. Yeah, what the
I'll come
hell?
on your show anytime. Talk about my UFO shit if you ever need a guest or whatever.
Yeah.
And welcome aboard. I'm gonna make the announcement tomorrow that you're part of the agency, dude.
Okay,
I'm
man.
oh, great show. Look at that. Teachers, you're watching the whole show. Nomar,
Oh,
always a
wow.
pleasure to hear you and learn. Always a super fan, Adam and Heather. Congrats on the book. Nomar loves us. We need to investigate. There's so much in Maine between
Yeah, there's so
Amhigh,
much.
which we can't really get into, but everything
Yeah.
else. There's so much shit. There's so much shit that's beckoned to be called. We could talk for another hour. So, hearts from the old lady. There you go. Good, Christina. I want to get you on. We'll talk about your product sometime. Dustin, thank you for the sponsorship. Moonlit Monster Media. Love the movie. Nomar, we'll hook up with you. We guys can shoot a movie about something, and I'll die. And this will be up on YouTube tomorrow. Nomar, thanks for being my guest. I appreciate
Adam,
you.
thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
No,
I appreciate it, and shout out to Ashley and Dustin, everybody that stayed to the end. I appreciate it.
Oh, Brandon too. Brandon's a weekly dude. I appreciate you always donating $13 a week to the fucking show and stars. I appreciate it. Brian still checking in from Dexter. Appreciate you. Great show. Going to look into the book for sure.
Cool,
Dexter
man.
Tire and Supply in Dexter, Maine, right down the street from that Shot Creep show. He'll tell him Adam Historian Ghost Hunter sent you. That way I get some bonus points. So Nomar Slevik, author, the whole nine. You guys know the whole thing. Watch the show tomorrow on YouTube. I'll get it uploaded. Check him out. See him in person. Searsport, UFOs over Maine, the anniversary.
Yeah,
Check
I'll
him
be there
out.
Sunday.
Good dude. He's a good dude. And you guys have a good night. We'll see you next